Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to that one player that accuses you of using radar hacks because you actually decide to use your ears in engagement rather than what he would do. Yeah, you know who you are, you scumbag. Otherwise known as a Tarkov video. For those who may have only picked the game up within the last few months, you've probably been experiencing Tarkov at its finest, where players are running around like headless chickens with full Gen 4 gear and no limitations based on the fact they have everything unlocked and every possible avenue for playing the game. But it is worth realizing that although Tarkov is indeed a rather polished game, I can't say that with a straight face, it is in fact still in beta. Shocker after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And as part of that beta state, there are constant developments and improvements being implemented. More often than not, these are put into the game in the form of a minor performance or content patch. But when the need arises and something major is on the horizon, like a big update of some kind, a wipe is implemented in order for the community as a whole to then go back through and cumulatively test and experience those changes and additions from the starting levels especially. And when you don't have everything available, it then allows you to experience them in the intended purpose the battle state want you to. That way, the new content is tested at all levels, and more feedback can be gathered from BSG's side of things. Think of it this way: if they didn't wipe you back, people would be jumping into the new content with billions of ruples and full stashes full of gear. Forcing a wipe means people have to actually experience that new content at the same level, and thus provides much more prompt and opportune feedback for BSG to work with balancing and tweaking things that need to be tweaked. This is, after all, beta. Utilizing the handy-dandy fancy screen that we have here, I will demonstrate exactly what would connotate a wipe scenario, starting with new quests. New quests being implemented into Tarkov are quite often, and we get them usually even amidst a patch as well. But whenever there's a mechanical update to the systems of questing, or questing overhauls, or major quest updates that affect the overall gameplay loop of Tarkov, those are usually incorporated into a wipe as a whole, so the more people can test those changes. New maps. New maps are usually celebrated as a huge upgrade to the game, and they are so infrequent that they are usually incorporated at big chapter upgrades of the game, thus the wipe. When a new map is added, it affects the entire gameplay loop of Tarkov, and when a new map is added, chances are they've only tested it internally, so getting everybody to experience that new map from the beginning perspective is going to be pivotal to then balancing that map for later usage. Then there's also core upgrades to the internal systems of the game itself, such as gameplay improvements, features, i.e. hideouts, and visual and audio improvements, because at the end of the day, again, a game that is in beta for so long is going to need upgrades through its time when new resources and features become available to the developers. Along with those pertinent features, you then get other things being introduced as well, that can often come with other updates, but usually get condensed into a wipe as well. Although with some of these, you will likely find smaller versions of these upgrades going through the course of a patch as well. These will include things such as new weapons and ammo types. New weapons and ammo types are quite big and affect the overall gameplay loop of Tarkov, so we want to make sure that they're going to be as balanced as possible, and experiencing them from the beginner's perspective will often allow BSG to help balance them for later usage as well. New vendors are often also added with wipes as well, because new vendors will often come with quests and also affecting the gameplay loop of where you get certain items from, and introducing new weapons and items along with them as well. Scav bosses and enemy changes. This one's a bit more of an interesting one, because this sort of stuff happens through the course of a patch anyway, but usually with the introduction of a new scav boss, i.e. Killer, Reshala, Glucose, these kind of bosses will often make a massive gameplay effect to where certain loot comes from, resource management, and all that kind of jazz. So whenever a new boss is introduced, they want to try and see how lesser geared player and the majority of the community being lesser geared will effectively take them on, thus again helping with balance, and also just having a general laugh at how many people end up dying from getting massacred from a killer with an RPK. There are a number of other things that can be added to a wipe encounter, but at the end of the day, things like utility and miscellaneous updates can also then be added in as well. At the end of the day, the purpose of a wipe is to introduce new mechanics, new items, and new weapons and such like to the game. A wipe, simply put, is the way they get us to try it out from scratch. So the most important part of this entire video: what is a wipe? Well, Billy, in short, a wipe will essentially cause your entire account to be scrubbed back to its starting point of when you first purchased it. So it'll go from something like this, with all the boxes, gear, and lovely things you've murdered your way through Tarkov for, all of that lovely rep you've earned, making those spiteful vendors have some kind of appreciation for your talents, and all those skills you've grinded and farmed and pushed for to get that slight edge in combat, all those billions of rubles you farmed for, gone. Burnt, if you will. Shoved into a vodka bottle and drunk by Nikita to fuel the fire. You will essentially have a flat restart back to the start of the game. So if you bought a basic version of the game, your stash will be the same as it was at that point. And if you had a higher edition of the game, like the Edge of Darkness, for example, then it'll be in a similar state too. There is literally nothing that is saved aside from your name, and even then, sometimes they may ask you to change it as they update their terms of services as what you can use in your name. Looking at you, Big Dick 69 TTV. So how do we best prepare for a wipe, other than having a set of bog roll next to our chair? Well, there's a few things that happens before and after that are worth considering, to not only gain a distinct advantage on your enemies, but also there are certain opportunities to take advantage of to get a hardcore session of learning to take the knowledge into that next patch with you. Just before a wipe, usually the last couple weeks of a patch, someone at BSG accidentally drinks too much vodka and touches the "do not touch this button, suka" button that Nikita installed on the main console of Tarkov for some reason. This button causes the known universe of Tarkov to be turned on its head and engage some kind of alternate fucked up dimension of Tarkov universe, usually causing all scavs to be turned into raiders, and for all the weapons to cost nothing, and also then to be fully unlocked as well from their rep levels from said vendors. Now you might be asking, why the hell would I want to play in that kind of weird universe? Well, yes, in a normal sense, it's a weird one, but it's one of the only opportunities you will have to use any of the weapons with little to no fear of losing the gear that you've normally spent hours farming for. So take yourself to learn as much as possible from these 2 or 3 weeks before a wipe, so that you can take all you've learned fighting against hardcore raiders and scavs and fully decked players. Take that knowledge and get an advantage at the start of the next wipe with all that information you've obtained over that time, when those who didn't bother to stick around are still dusting off the rust from not having played for 3 or 4 weeks. It is also worth noting that when a wipe happens, it does make you re-eligible for the goodie bag BSG give out, depending on your version of the game. So you'll have to go to your account on the BSG website and click that button to re-receive your seasonal in-game additional rewards. It's a small package of cool goodies, usually an eye case, a couple of guns, and some other stuff, but those small little things you get at the start can add up to some big advantages in the early stage of a wipe. Any advantage is a good advantage. Otherwise, once the wipe happens, it's back to scratch, back to the beginning. Coup de grace, if you will. Don't see this as a bad thing, though. See it as a fresh start, to incorporate all you've learned to make this next patch better than the last. I know that a lot of people say, I spent all this time dying and grinding and questing. Why do I have to do it all again? Why do I want to go all the way back to the start, you say? Well, it's quite simple. My friends, my compadres, my Russian companions and American invaders. Let's just reiterate. The game is in beta. The game needs the kind of information you get when starting from scratch to base a lot of their future improvements on. Wipes are not a bad thing. They are how developers push for change, and let's be real, give so many opportunities for you to try things again and re-experience the game and gauge how far you've come as a player and how much you've improved with your gun mechanics, modding semantics, and general overall knowledge of the game. Not to mention, one of the biggest pulls is wipes are a big event. They bring back in friends who may have stopped playing in previous wipes. They hype the Twitch community up, which is in of itself brings the game to the attention of more and more potential players, which in turn earns BSG more money, which in turn they will definitely then spend at least 50% of that money on vodka. But that other 50% then helps fund for better quality gameplay improvements, and overall improvements to the BSG community as a whole. It's also important to realize that at the point of a wipe, everyone is on an even footing. So whereas if you would have picked up the game halfway through a patch and you're just starting out all fresh-eyed and such, but then you keep getting decked by Chaddy McChadderface running slick armor with a fully kitted M4, that thankfully is not the case once you get to experience the game at the start of a wipe. You get to experience the game like everyone else is. And yes, there are some people who will be level 50 within the first week. Some people will get 100 million rupees on the first day. But really, that's the minority who've played this game for years and know how to exploit it. For the rest of us, we get a fresh experience. We get to set the meta for the foreseeable future of the game. Now that you've started fresh, your stash may be empty, but your brain is big. Big 4-head levels of play, if you will. And full, like 5-head kinds of things of big. Or maybe for those who have just picked the game up, and because you've just heard of the game because of the wipe, this is your prime opportunity to get in the game at its most balanced state. Experience the game before people start hoarding up their gear like some magpie who's just seen some shiny keys. The point being here is, a wipe is the best opportunity to experience Tarkov at its opportune, to have the most balanced experience of getting in, trying things out. And just because you may see some streamers being able to deck themselves out with the best gear on the planet, don't take that as an example as how the game is played. This will be your best opportunity to figure out whether this is the kind of game you want to play in the future. And to me, I think wipes are one of the better parts of the game. And even when the game is eventually, and I say eventually, fully released, I do kind of hope we still get some form of a wipe in the future, because it gives us a fresh start. It gives us some goals to achieve again. Because eventually, after playing the game for so long, you do kind of get to a point where the only thing you can do is kill people. And you know what? That's fun. But sometimes repeating some quests, going back and giving yourself more objectives again, it's a fun thing to do. So hopefully this quite impromptu and quick video has been informative for those who are looking to learn more about what a wipe is. It's a weird thing. Not many games really get this kind of treatment, and I can understand why a lot of people can get confused over it. But whether you want to learn about what a wipe is, whether you want to learn more about Tarkov as a whole, hopefully you've liked this video. Maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. Maybe leave a like and even comment down below as to what you would love to see from the next wipe or what the next patch may be involving even. And hopefully I will see all of you top hatters in the next video. Thank you once again for tuning in, guys. I'll also leave a link down below with our Twitch channel, so if you feel like coming and joining us, you'll be most welcome to. We stream every single day with Warframe and Escape from Tarkov, focusing on community, positivity, no elitism, and just helping you enjoy your day. So thank you once again for watching, guys, and I'll see all of you top hatters in the next video. Ta-ra!